With the garage buried, we could start watering the roof and trying to grow grass. But my wife was concerned about our liability for people who may wander up and fall off our roof. So a safety fence became the next most urgent task to complete before winter. Obviously, we couldn't just do it the normal way. Although the dirt is about 2.5 feet deep over the shallowest part of the roof, you can still only dig down about 1.5 feet before you hit the umbrella. So we couldn't just put the posts in holes. Here's a close-up of the assembly we used on the first few posts. That little block of treated 2x4 is to get the post a little bit further back from the parapet wall. Then long screws went through the post and into the wall to attach it. We added a bag of concrete around the bottom of each post to help hold it in place against the parapet wall. Those pre-drilled holes in the side were for type L copper pipe to be run between the posts. More on that later. As we went down the wall, the soil got deeper so we could bury the posts deeper and make up for not being able to attach them to the wall behind those big rocks. That last little post was intentionally shorter for artistic reasons. A few more pics here. This one's just showing that we set each one plumb. This is a better angle on some of those boulders we used to better retain the dirt. Once the fence posts were behind these, we couldn't attach them directly to the stones. Well, maybe we could have, but we ended up just deciding to bury them deeper. This is the northeast corner. We actually ended up building this up quite a bit more to better retain the dirt. I was still really concerned about someone using the posts as levers to rip out the screws in concrete, so we switched up our design and used this sort of braced design for the remaining posts. It's still screwed through to the back of the parapet wall, but now the leverage is much better countered with that base. Of course, the wood is all treated for burial, and we still covered this in concrete. Actually, we need even more concrete per post to completely cover that assembly. Then the video jumps ahead to where I was trying to fill in the dirt on the shoulders of the building. Here, the original dirt had settled and slipped down, and I needed to add some more before I could place any more posts. Once the dirt was in place and hand-packed so I didn't think it would slump down anytime soon, it was pretty straightforward to add the remaining posts. At this point in the day, we were interrupted because my other son had dug a hole he couldn't get himself out of. Of course, I took a pic before rescuing him, and then back to work. After the posts were all in, it was time to add the type L copper pipe. This is the stronger copper pipe. We used 3/4 inch for the top rail and 1/2 inch for the rest. We may eventually come back and fill in the rails every 4 inches, but this was good enough for now. Actually, the building code says I need rails 4 inches apart. It's got to pass a 4-inch ball test if this is within 6 feet of a walkway. However, we plan to plant bushes along this fence like holly and prickly things, so technically these won't be needed because it won't be a walkway, but better safe than sorry. Also, for those of you about to say that the rails can't be horizontal, that depends on the year of the building code that you're following. For my particular year, I checked twice with the inspector and horizontal rails would be permitted even if they were next to a walkway. Over on this side of the building we had to dig a few more posts in. These could not be attached to the wall, but there was plenty of depth for burial. After these first few pipes were in, I went back with copper screws, which I also bought in the plumbing department, and I locked each pipe into place so they couldn't slip out of their holes. We'd run out of 3/4 inch pipe earlier, so now I bought some more and I needed to come back and finish this section. And here's a pic of the front after we got the first couple rails in. I think it gives it kind of a nautical look. After the grass grew in, things got a bit scruffy around the front of the garage, but the osprey didn't seem to mind. He likes his post, and he lets me get really close too. Over on the death wall side of the build, where we got those big boulders, there wasn't really anywhere to put big wooden posts, so the plan was to use copper pipes as vertical posts. I could just drill them right into those big rocks, and then put a curved copper rail between them. I was practicing soldering the pipes together and trying to figure out a good way to do it, and then winter hit and was just too cold to do a good job, so we had to set that aside and save it for another time. Actually, that part still isn't done now, so if you have any suggestions, please let us know in the comments below. That's it for now. The next video will be on putting copper flashing on the skylights, and then we shift gears to inside work for the winter.